I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, February the 18th, brought to you in part by VITALIX. Not all tubs are created equal. Stretch your profits with every lick. Your cattle need the protein and energy in these frigid cold temperatures, guys. And we've also got a tub giveaway for feeder flash gang members. If you're watching this video on NationalBeefWire.com, click on the VITALIX ad that's right next to the video. If you're watching this on YouTube, go down in the descriptions and click on VITALIX. It takes you to where you can enter to win a free tub of VITALIX, guys. Get the blue tub. Your cows will love you. For more information, go to VITALIX.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma canceled their sale for Tuesday here and Wednesday, so not really having a feeder sale or a cow sale here at all. It is just going to be too cold, and not only is it going to be bitter cold in the Oklahoma Panhandle, they typically have really nice strings of yearlings that they sell there at Beaver, and many times those cattle go north, and it's going to be even colder yet where those cattle would normally go. So it's not just that it's cold where the sale barns are at. If it's going to be super cold where those cattle typically land after they leave that sale barn, there's no need to have them because they don't want the cattle. I'd rather wait a week or something. So we're not going to be having a sale at all at Beaver County Stockyards, and take a much needed break there, even though pretty much everybody around there has their own cattle and they're all going to be struggling to take care of them. But batten down the hatches. I mean, this storm is coming through. It's already started to come through here Monday night and be coming through on Tuesday. Wednesday really bad, or Tuesday worse in some places, Wednesday worse in others. Thursday it will kind of be through, and most places in the center part of the country will be coming out of it. Of course, it'll be moving on east in there to the mid-Atlantic and places out there. So haven't heard a lot about the sale barns closing, and I checked the Bluegrass Stockyards, and on their website they didn't have anything about it yet. But pretty much all your sale barns in Missouri are going to be closed Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm not sure about Thursday. Oklahoma sales are closed on Tuesday and Wednesday. OKC West in El Reno is not having a sale on Tuesday, today or Wednesday. So no feeder cattle this week in El Reno. Just not going to be many cattle moving at all. It's just going to be too frigid cold, and especially when you get up into the northern plains and the Midwest, you got 30 or 40 below regular air temperature. I mean, you don't need to be out in that stuff, and you need to be worrying about taking care of the cattle that are home, getting them some bedding put down. A lot of producers up in that area are calving right now. I mean, a newborn baby calf won't last no time in that kind of temperature, so they'll be out watching, trying to get those taken care of, and I mean, that is when you are earning your keep right there, guys. So we're thinking about you, we're praying for you. You're doing God's work there, and good luck to you getting through that. But going to be really, really tough, frigid, bitter, cold temperatures here middle part of this week. I want to talk a little bit about the Mexican border. We haven't talked too much about it the last several visits, but I was talking to some participants down there on the border and said since it has opened back up, it has been very, very slow getting cattle across. And those inspectors are being ridiculously particular whenever they're inspecting those cattle coming across. And you know, and they've had some cold weather down there too. No screw worms, you know, in the cattle there, but they're just looking for any blemish on them at all. They're kicking them out and leaving everybody really kind of wondering what that is. We thought whenever Mexico let us come in with some of our genetically enhanced corn that would kind of blow over, but apparently it still has not. And they've got them reined in on such a tight number they can get across. Typically, or in the past, Santa Teresa, New Mexico has been the largest crossing. And previous to the shutdown, they were crossing 3,000 head a day. Well, they've got them backed off to 500 head a day, and they're not getting that many put across because the inspectors are kicking more than that out. I was talking to one market member down there that said that he sent a load this week already of 85 head in on the truckload, and they cut 14 out. And the problem is, what do you do with those 14? Those cattle had come from a long haul down into Mexico, and he said, you know, they were kind of used to the inspectors cutting about 3% of the cattle that they sent to the border back. Now, since they've tried to reopen, it's more like 15 to 18%. Well, that takes all the fun out of it. So guys are not really interested in doing that, because what are you going to do with those cattle that they get kicked back? They can't come across the border at all. You've got to find a home for them up in the northern part of Mexico, and it's really just you know, making it where the deal's not working at all, because you got those cattle, and that more than takes up the advantage you thought you had for trying to export the cattle. And I don't know, you know, a lot of you guys don't want any of the Mexican cattle in. Some of you don't mind them. I mean, that's totally up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to think. I do know, and especially living here in the Texas Panhandle, this part of the country, this in Texas here, they count on those Mexican cattle, and a lot of them haven't done anything about not getting them. And we saw that on our last cattle and feed report, that Texas was down 23% on inventories on feed there, or placements. And so they haven't done anything else. They're wanting those cattle to come across, and they're just not coming across. But the market still faded back quite a bit here in February, so that necessarily wasn't doing it. You know, whenever it was running those cattle full bore across, it was still only making up about 3% of our total commercial cattle there. So it's not that big of a deal, but a lot of you don't want any cattle coming in at all, and that's absolutely your prerogative to think what you want to on that. But they were saying that it does not look good to improve on the number of cattle that are coming across, and they can't really argue with the inspectors. A lot of the law enforcement and things in Mexico are crooked, and if you guys have been down there, you know that they'll take a payoff, they'll do whatever. We're not sure who's telling those inspectors to be that particular about the cattle, because basically the screwworm deal was all way down in South Mexico. Haven't seen anything like that up here. But one market member said he thinks the best way that they can do that is have the inspectors come down into Mexico where those cattle are at, and do the pre-inspection on the ranch or at a neutral site, rather than having to ship those cattle all the way to the border and then having them kicked out, which is what's frustrating them so much. But not sure if they're going to be able to get that done. That seems like a significant amount of travel there. I'm not sure how that works, but anyway, we're not moving too many cattle across the border. And if you guys are against cattle coming in from other countries, then you're happy about that. If you're a feed yard or a backgrounder in West Texas and you're used to Mexican cattle, you're kind of frustrated about that. But the board was closed on Monday due to President's Day, so that would have been a good day for us to have some trade, but we didn't have hardly any trade at all on Monday because of the upcoming storms. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle movement in your 5-area feeding region, they only had 43,600, which is light, about half what would be considered a good run. Had 59,800 the previous week and 69,500 the same week a year ago. Live steers and heifers selling from $2 to $2.04. That was $3 to $9 lower. We did see that extreme top, the $2.04, on Friday reported. excuse me, your weighted average on live steers, 202.91. That was down $4.14 compared to the previous week's weighted average on live steers. So significant losses there, guys. After the Southern Plains sold early, the Northern Plains and Midwest was just unable to keep their prices up. Your dress trade ranged from $3.15 to $3.24. That was $5 to $9 lower. Weighted average on dress steers, $320.52, which was down $6.46. As a whole, your Southern Plains market was $2 lower at $2.06. Northern Plains was mostly $2 lower at $2.08, and $7 to $8 lower from $3.20 to $3.21 dress. Nationwide, we sold 52,200 negotiated, 72,900 the previous week, and 88,300 the same week a year ago. Of that 52,200 that we sold negotiated nationwide, about 11,400 or 22% of those cattle were for the 2 to 4 week delivery. Excuse me. Negotiated grid sales last week totaled 36,600 head. Forward contracts written were back up a little bit from 14,900 head. And formula sales last week, 245,000. Of the 4 out of 5 areas that we get information from that had negotiated trade, Iowa sold 15,200, which is just a little bit more than half what they usually do. And we did see some 204, and I even heard of some 204.5 to a regional packer that may not have to report their information into mandatory price reporting, but that was the best we had, and not a whole lot of that. Nebraska sold 17,400 last week, Kansas 8,500, and Texas 2,500. Box beef cutout values were mixed on Monday afternoon, with choice cuts up $1 at $315.70. Selects were down 91 cents at $306.23. Your slaughter for the first day of the week, pretty disappointing at 95,000. It's the same as the disappointing Monday we had a week ago at 95,000, and 6,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Larson's Lost River livestock production sale is going to be on February the 22nd, and going to be at 2 o'clock p.m. It's going to be on DVAuction. It's up in Minnesota, guys, and so if you're not up in that area and you don't want to travel that far, you can just get on DVAuction, guys. They've got 70 head of yearling and long yearling bulls. Got kind of an array of different breeds. They've got Gelfie and Balancer and Red Angus and Simmental bulls. Plus they've got 45 registered and commercial bred heifers. Check them out, guys. Larson's Lost River production sale there, and it will be on DVAuction on February 22nd at 2 p.m. Central. Talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance, who are working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Monday after your sales had closed, which didn't have much sales anyway, 277.87. That was actually $1.81 higher because the only sales that had much volume were in the Northern Plains, so that picked up a little bit for your index value. Latest CME cash feeder cattle index with no Monday trade in there, sitting at 276.23. Look at your sales that are typically big. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City only had 2,800 head, and they combined both sales, so they won't be having an odd sale and cow sale on Tuesday. But the market was steady to firm and a light test. Just no way to really, when you're used to having big sales and you come in and have a little one like that, no way really to call a market on them. Did see an impressive quote. National Livestock Commission sold 108 big steers in Oklahoma City. They weighed 977 and bring 250.5. That is awful good, especially in the city there, guys. How about Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri? They had 3,000 head, a few more than they had expected there. Very uneven, and it's been uneven there the last few weeks. But steers were mostly just one way and then the other, uneven. Heifers were steady to $10 lower in light test, and some of those very uneven too. They will not be having a cow and bull auction on Wednesday this week in Joplin Regional Stockyards because of the frigid temperatures, and they're expecting pretty significant snow amounts in southwest Missouri there too. So that may be one of the areas that gets the biggest snows. A sale that did have a pretty good run was in Russell, Iowa. Russell Livestock Market, they had 3,900 head there. Market was uneven there too. They were NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day, and you look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, you see the best tested weights there, kind of concentrated on your middleweight cattle. They had 1,058 steers in the 6-weight category. They averaged 653 with a weighted average price of $309.79. 653 head of the 7-weight steers averaged 740 pounds at $290.250. Look at the heifers. 431 head of the 5-weight heifers averaged 551. Weighted average price $309.84. And 534 head of 6-weight heifers in Russell, Iowa averaged 652 pounds with a weighted average price of $272.26. Some individual quotes. How about Aberdeen livestock sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota? They sell 59 big warmed up steers, weigh 1038 and bring 251. How about Callaway Livestock Center in Kingdom City, Missouri? Jack Harrison sale there. He sold 58 steers, weighed 960 pounds. 960 Central Missouri guys bring 256.85. Big time quote there. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday in your Macrosin No BS top quote for the day come out of Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota. They're a DVAuction broadcaster. 86 steers, weighed 844, bring 282.75. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.